The last time Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington did a movie together, it was called Training Day, which I'm sure you all remember. They're back together for this one. Here's Antoine Fuqua.
How you doing, guys?
First of all, I am curious, how many people here actually remember the 80s television show, The Equalizer? Who can give me one plot synopsis from any episode? Okay, that's about right. This movie has nothing to do with Equalizer, but why not just call this movie Denzel Washington Gets Revenge? Like, why The Equalizer?
That's a good point. No, the producer, Todd Black and Jason Blumenthal, got the rights to the name, The Equalizer, and just developed the script, for Denzel. Took about a year. But it actually does have something to do with The Equalizer a little bit. It's more of an origin story than, taking off from the TV show directly. So it's the beginning of self-discovery of what his calling is.
When I say it doesn't have much to do with it, the thing I remember about The Equalizer was it was not a very exciting show, and your movie is very, very exciting. Same character name, Robert McCall, but it's definitely a different vibe than that '80s show was. I assume you would agree.
Yeah, I did. It was just my grandmother and my mother would watch The Equalizer. He was like this really cool British man, gray hair, Jaguar, a suit. I couldn't really relate to it. I was watching Miami Vice back then. That was my TV show.
You know who liked The Equalizer? Rob Reiner's character in The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's right.
He loved The Equalizer.
That's right. He did. Got upset interrupting his Equalizer.
Why wait so long to work with Denzel Washington again? Obviously, you guys had great success last time. It's been a while. I'm actually surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Time just flew by, really. We tried to work together once, and that didn't work out. But we were friends, and we have dinner and talk about it. But it takes. We shot this movie. It's been 2 years, right? It takes roughly almost 2 years to make a movie for a director, and he directed 2 movies since Training Day, and then Training Day kind of catapulted us both into another stratosphere. So we were busy. So I was making movies, he was making movies, and until journalists started speaking about it, we didn't even realize it's been 12, 13 years. It was kind of a surprise to both of us,
You mentioned after Training Day being bolted in a different stratosphere. The 2 movies you did before that were Replacement Killers and Bait, and then Training Day comes along. Denzel wins an Oscar.
What's Bait?
The Jamie.
I'm joking.
Okay, thank you.
See, that's my attempt
the Jamie
of humor.
Foxx movie.
That's why Bait didn't work, because I'm not funny.
You scared me. I was going to go to run in there, check IMDb, and prove you wrong. But what was that like after Training Day? Because you'd never gotten that kind of attention before, and then all of a sudden, boom, big time with that one.
I don't even know what it was like, honestly. This movie has been sort of my journey of the heat from Training Day, because I went right to work when we went to the Academy Awards and Denzel won the Academy Award. I got on a flight the next day and started Tears of the Sun. So I didn't really get any of the attention and celebration from that film. I just kept working. I just kept going. So I didn't really know what that was like. But we've been, like I said, we just came back from 6 different countries around the world, and it was overwhelming. People were excited about me and Denzel working together again. So this is my first time really experiencing the energy from Training Day.
You mentioned that being in 6 different countries. I interviewed you in Canada for the Toronto International Film Festival. It seems like a year ago now. But for all those people who want to be filmmakers and have a big-time film like this, explain how tired you are right now.
Very. Yeah, literally just got off the plane 2 days ago, I think, and did an IMAX screening last night. Been doing press all day. It's a blessing, but I'm exhausted, man. If it wasn't to come here and talk to you guys, I would be sleeping. Trust me.
There's one scene I want to talk about in this movie. There's a scene where Denzel Washington's character goes down to the harbor, and there's an explosion.
Right.
And we've seen that in movies before where the character, something explodes behind them and they don't look at it and they just keep walking off. In this movie, there are explosion after explosion after explosion. There's this chain reaction event where it keeps on going and going and going, and it was the loveliest thing I've ever seen. Were you trying to one-up that kind of a scene?
Yeah, you're always trying to one-up, every scene. You're always trying to outdo somebody or make it cooler or more interesting. But the truth is, in a weird way, it was sort of my homage to Tony Scott. It was my way of sort of tipping my hat to Tony, because his relationship with Denzel, and he did the explosion, the Man on Fire, and obviously I wanted mine to be different and better, because that's what Tony would want. But it was a little bit of that too, yeah.
Obviously, the premise of this movie is, Denzel Washington plays Robert McCall. Seems like a normal, everyday guy. Works at a Home Depot type store called the Home Mart.
Right.
And he runs into a young woman played by Chloe Grace Moretz who needs his help, and he starts helping people in sometimes the most violent way possible. When it actually takes its time setting this up, but once it sets up, boy, does it really takes off. And the way his character kills people. Now, you mentioned trying to one-up the late Tony Scott. Did you try to one-up yourself every time you did a death scene in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, you try to make sure it's going to be entertaining for the audience first, and then also you try to make sure it's exciting, and you can, each scene is elevated, the action. But the action is really more of the narrative for me. Each time he does something, it's informing you about his background and his character. And so, yeah, absolutely. I kept trying to one-up each event, but it was all based on the story beats and the narrative.
You killed someone with a microwave.
Yeah. What's the problem with that?
It's no problem. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, oxygen in the microwave. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to say too much. That's why I stopped. You
want to look at a clip? Should we look at a clip?
Yeah, let's show them something.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's look at a clip. There's you said something to me last time we spoke about people underestimating you. It was like the greatest quote. You said there's 3 rules about underestimating you, and this came from the fact one of your last movie before this, Olympus Has Fallen, went up that year against White House Down, and everyone thought White House Down, the big Roland Emmerich movie, that was going to be the big blockbuster, and it's Olympus Has Fallen that's getting the sequel. You said rule 1, don't underestimate me. 2, if you do, you will lose. 3, there won't be a third time because I bring the heat.
That's right.
Who's underestimating you? When does that happen?
I mean, people always underestimate other people. You know what I mean? Especially if the odds seem to be against you. It's a natural tendency for somebody to just feel like, you have more money, or you have bigger name stars, or a director that they consider has done bigger movies. People have a tendency to assume that means that they'll be more successful than you, and or in other walks of life as well. You know what I mean? That's kind of the best thing that can happen to you, right? Because that gives you a little bit of fuel, and because they underestimate you, most 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be 100% on their game, right? And then that's when you bring the heat.
You brought the heat in this one.
Oh, yeah.
The heat is in this movie.
Oh, yeah. We had fun making this movie, man. It's exciting. It's fun. You get your popcorn and your Coke, and you'll see some intense scenes. And me and Denzel picked right up where we left off on Training Day, but in a different way.
Oh, definitely different. This version of Denzel doesn't really. At first, he doesn't want to be in this situation where he brought it on kind of himself in Training Day.
Yeah, he's a reluctant hero. I mean, he's a guy that has a dark past and done some violent things, and you'll see how violent and brutal he can be in the scene when you see the movie, right? And he promised his wife, who's passed on, that he wouldn't go back to being that person. And he's trying very hard to do that. But he's also not really living his life fully. He's a guy that's living in half worlds. So you can't live in half worlds. Part of him, like at the diner, and Chloe Moretz's character plays a young prostitute. They meet at this diner every night around 3 o'clock at night. Not meet together. She shows up there all the time. He's over there reading books. And this is the first time they actually sit and talk to each other. And you see that she sees something in him that no one else can see. And he's a guy that can't sleep at night until a particular scene where you see what he does. And then all of a sudden, the next shot is he's sleeping pretty good because he has comfort in chaos. And like you said, we take our time in the movie so that you see a guy that's very quiet, very lonely, very compassionate, that can be extremely brutal, right? So he's a reluctant hero.
I mentioned the microwave scene. That it takes place in a very elaborate scene set at the Home Mart, where Denzel Washington is taking on numerous people all at the same time, but using only items you would find in a Home Depot type store to kill these people. Did you have to actually, do you have to call and say, like, would this appliance really do that kind of damage to the back of someone's head? Or like, how do you research that? Or is it just common sense? Maybe it's just common sense.
Some of it's common sense, but some of it is, I spent some time with some guys who specialize in these things.
Who specializes in killing with drills?
Well, there's some people that do it for a living, not drills, but whatever's in the room.
Okay.
You know, I mean, luckily they're on our side, right? But yeah. But we sat and spent some time with them, and basically they put up an image of the human anatomy, and we talked about all the soft spots, and you know how fragile we really are.
Right.
You know, and when you look at some of these weapons and tools, what they do or can do to you is all very real. And it's all in certain spots on the body. So that's where a lot of that came from.
I saw a very interesting analogy today, and I don't know if you'll like this or not, but and it was favorably. Will Leach from Deadspin compared that scene to an adult Home Alone scene where he's taking all these items in the house to beat the bad guys.
Everything's got to get put in a box, man. It's amazing, man. It just can't be something on its own.
It's not my analogy, but I did think it was interesting.
No, it's good. It's all good. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's brutal. It's fun. You know, it's like going into the jungle to fight Ho Chi Minh. You're going into somebody else's territory. They know where all the tricks and all the, you know what I mean? They know where the holes are. They know how to use that place. So that's the analogy. I said, this guy's used to guerrilla warfare. And these people were coming into this place to kill him. That was their first mistake, right? A guy like this, in a place like that, everything in there is a weapon. You know, even based on the way he handled the other guys. In another scene earlier in the movie, and the guy Teddy, played by Martin Coates, when you see how brutal he was there, that should inform you not to go in there with all these things in there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's the deal.
You want to look at another clip?
Yeah, let's show them another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a good friend of mine who's also an entertainment journalist met Jake Gyllenhaal out for breakfast the other day for an interview, and he was amazed by his six-pack abs he has right now because he's currently, well, he just finished filming with you for a boxing movie called Southpaw.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say that we will not recognize Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie.
No, you won't. I gutted him out. I gutted him out. I had him training 6 months ahead of time, twice a day. You know, I mean, I've been boxing for 15 years, and my trainer, we took him to Mayweather's gym in Vegas, church gym out here. Took him to every fight. I mean, he's a beast, man. When you see him in his movie, he's turned himself into a fighter when you see him. You won't believe it's him. And you'll see him doing all the fighting. There's no stunt guy. He took some hits.
What took you so long to do a boxing movie? Because I feel like that would have come earlier for you too.
Because it's a boxing movie, but it's not really about boxing as much as about a man learning to become a father. learning the responsibilities of being a father, and controlling his anger. It's more of that type of story. It's a real heartbreak, and I can't wait for you to see it. It's really a powerful drama, but the boxing is ridiculous. I mean, I shot at Madison Square Garden, and we recreated Caesar Palace. I shot it with all the HBO guys and really went in on it. And every fighter in it is a real fighter. I had Victor Ortiz, knocking him around, knocking Jake around, So I mean, it's intense, man.
And this makes me happy because you did the Equalizer with Denzel Washington, and now you're doing a boxing movie, and you seem so happy about these. This and nothing against this movie, but this makes more sense than King Arthur.
What?
Which that was a good. I like that. I actually like that movie, but
it's like a little slight right there, man.
Oh, that's not a slight. I just cannot. I've been waiting for both of these from you for so long. And then it's like, oh, okay, he's going to do King Arthur. Then maybe we'll get the boxing movie and Denzel again.
Well, you know what the truth is about King Arthur? I wish I had another chance to do it again because I learned so much doing that film, and I learned a lot about the studio system and things like that. I would never.
What's that mean? What did you learn about the studio
system? Well, I would
system?
never make a movie. We agreed to make an R movie, and then it was Disney changed on me in the middle of beginning to film the movie to make it a PG. And that's hard because I designed it all a complete different way. And when you do that, everything you dreamed of and all the things you really want to do start to come out the script, and you can't shoot these things. So it's very difficult to do that. But more than anything, it's just I've learned a lot even as a filmmaker since then. I've evolved since then, I like to think. But the reason I did King Arthur is for minority filmmakers, or even just poor kids, period, but especially minority, whether black, Latino, whatever. If they want to become a director, the idea is that you can do anything you want to do. You got to do it well, doesn't always work out, but there's no reason to have to always do something based on your color. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to always have to do something based on your own life experiences. You can dream about making King Arthur. You could dream about making the movie Going to Space. I did that just to say that. Now, whether it's successful financially or creatively, I wish it was a better movie, and I will make an epic again, and it will be better. But they need to see me do something other than Training Day. Training Day is something I grew up with. I know that world. There's no reason to put them in a box. And I'd rather be an example for them to say, if a kid wants to make a movie about, I don't know, whatever, right? A deep blue sea. And somebody says, what do you know about the deep blue sea? You grew up in the ghettos of whatever. You can say, well, Antoine did one. Well, he did this or he did that. How come I can't do it? But if you don't have an example of that, sometimes it's hard for people to see past your skin color or your background. So King Arthur wasn't just about the movie. It was about something bigger for me.
That's like the best answer. That was so great. Let's do some questions from the audience.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, man.
Do you have any more advice for aspiring filmmaker?
Yeah. Learn your craft. And the only way you're going to learn your craft is by doing it. You're in a digital age now. Go get a camera. Go get some lenses if you can. Go to school if you can. But if not, learn your craft, and that might mean be a PA. Go run and get coffee. Be on the set. Ask questions. Have no fear about being naive about certain things or not knowing. But most importantly is really learn the craft. Like understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the best advice. And don't stop, because it's going to be hard. It's not easy, and it's work. You know what I mean? Sometimes it sounds really fancy, filmmaker, artist. It's work. It's called show business. You know what I'm saying? You got to get up every day, do your homework, and put on your jeans and hopefully some comfortable tennis shoes, because you're going to be grinding. There it is.
Thank you, sir, for coming out tonight. I wanted to know, who were your most important past and present mentors?
My most important? present and past. Most important, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of them that I admire quite a bit. I mean, Kurosawa's special, in every way. I still feel that Sidney Lumet was very special. I love Sergio Leone for what he did with the Westerns. Martin Scorsese, today and in the past, is still, and he's a friend, very special man. I think Oliver Stone is a fantastic filmmaker, and he's a powerful filmmaker. Francis Ford Coppola. A lot of those guys I grew up with because of the era. Like for me, they had a certain freedom in the 70s and late 60s where they were making movies and they were able to make these powerful films and Taxi Driver and things like that, or Dog Day Afternoon and those movies where they had the freedom to actually really tell their stories on film. And now it's a little different. It's a little harder to make those kind of films. Because like I said, it's show business, and if it doesn't make money, it's hard to get that done. It's hard to even sell that idea to somebody. Can you imagine going up to somebody saying you want to make Taxi Driver? I mean, it's very hard to do that. You might be able to get it done for $1.50 if you can do it. So yeah, those are the people I admire.
Hey, how are you? I like your films.
Thank you.
Have you ever thought about doing science fiction?
No, you know what? I don't. Not really. I mean, but I don't think about movies sometimes in genres as much. Like if I read a script that I felt passionate about, and it just happened to be in that world, I would probably want to do it. But that's not a genre, if we're going to put it in the box, that I gravitate towards a lot. But that's just because I don't read a lot of science fiction scripts.
There are a lot of incredible, brutal scenes in this film. Can you talk about the decisions to make the scene as brutal as it is, or maybe it's less so than what you originally scripted? I'd like to hear how you and Denzel figured out what was going to be what.
Well, like I said before, for me, brutality only comes out of the narrative, and it has to be something that comes out of the character, right? Robert McCall is a gentle man in the beginning. He's a quiet man in the beginning. The people that he's aggressive towards brought the violence to him. But let me put it this way. There are violent men in the world, and there's men that understand violence, right? So the point of doing that is this. If you're a violent individual, you get into fights and you're nasty and you're mean. If you understand violence, you want nothing to do with it because there is no going backwards, right? Everybody's dying. That's a different individual. So the violence was to inform you of his background as opposed to exposition. And it had to be brutal so you really understood that he was even more brutal than the men he was killing. Also, I don't believe in, if you're making a rated R movie, make a rated R movie. If you're making PG or PG-13, make it that. But don't walk the line, because people pay their money to come in and see a film, give them what they pay for. That's how I see it.
How you doing? I would like to know, is there any actor or actress that you haven't worked with that you would love to?
Yeah, there's some great actors out there I haven't worked with. I mean, Michael Fassbender is a beast. I think Christian Bale is really powerful actors. Meryl Streep would be a dream to work with her, in any capacity. So yeah, there's a group of them out there, man, that I can go down the list, but there's a group of them that I really would love to work with, just to have the experience to work with them,
When you found out that filmmaking was your passion, what steps did you take to advance your career?
I dove in. It's like when I was telling this young man here. I went to school in West Virginia. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I moved to New York. I got a job as a PA, and I just dove in with both feet, and I just started learning, and I just started, studying film. I watched every movie from The Great Train Robbery up to date at that time in different genres. I was around filmmakers as much as I could. I would ask questions all day. I was writing quite a bit. You know what I mean? But you just have to dive in with both feet. And you can't dive in always saying, I'm going to be a director. You just got to get in there and sort of feel it out and see what you're really good at, see what's talking to you, If it's directing, then go for that. I always say, it's like a target. One thing about making movies is once you figure out what it is you want to be, you got to go after it with everything you got. Everything you got. Because there's a lot of people wanting to do the same thing. They think until the opportunity starts to come. So that's what happened with me. I just dove in. When I found directing was my passion, I just never stopped until I got the opportunity to prove it. And even prove it to myself to see if I even had what it takes to be a director.
Hi, I'm just wondering what you would like your audience. Hi.
I'm sorry. Hi.
That's okay. I was just wondering what you would like your audience to take away most from this film, besides the wonderful action sequences.
Well, I mean, it's a story about doing the right thing, helping others that can't help themselves. And it doesn't always have to be violence, it's just about taking steps when you see somebody that's, weaker or in need. If one person helped another person, just one in the world, we'd be a whole different planet. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, sir. I'm from Nigerian descent. I'm wondering, would you consider Nigerian actors for next movie or whatever?
Nigerian? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Why not? I never think. I mean, if it's a role that, if you can get rid of the accent, right? If he's supposed to be American and you got Nigerian accent, that's a problem. But if it's a role that doesn't require an American accent, why not? If you can act, you can act. You're an actor? You're a musician? Oh, okay. All right, that's cool.
Hi. My question is really we all measure our success at different levels in our life where we are. So I just wanted to know, from where you started to where you are today and where you're going. How do you measure that? Where do you feel you are? Have you achieved, or do you have some big dream of a film that you want to do? And then maybe you can extrapolate a little bit.
It's funny. I mean, measure. I mean, I have big dreams, right? It's as a director, for me, there's so many movies I want to make, and so many stories I want to tell, right? But it takes so long to do it. I know you only get to do it, you know what I mean, a certain amount, and that's working back to back to back and not getting any rest, and that's not possible for anybody, As far as measuring where I'm at, I measure it more if I'm a better human being, honestly. If I'm truly evolving as a human being and not making the same mistakes and trying to consider other people before myself, which is hard sometimes. It's a selfish world we live in, and you're grinding every day and everybody's hustling. But I measure it by what have I done lately that's not about me, I mean, I have children, so that keeps me really humble. And I measure a lot of it by how I am as a father. Am I doing a good job or not? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the biggest measurement for me, is if I'm a better human being or not. Hollywood, I don't measure myself by Hollywood, man, because
Based on one of your answers, I can't get the thought of you doing a Western out of my head now.
Yeah, my next one. Me and Denzel are going to do Magnificent Seven next. Start filming that in March of next year. So I'm very excited. That's like a boyhood dream. I used to watch Westerns with my grandmother all the time. And so it's important It's
Yeah,
important to me.
that news just broke a couple weeks ago, right? That was the
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So we're going to start that in March. Denzel's going to start riding horses next week, and we're going to go get him.
that's it. Thanks for everyone for coming out. The movie
Thank
comes
you,
out this
guys.
Friday.
Take care.
Antoine Fuqua, everyone.
Go see the film.